Hello friends, my name is Tyler, and welcome to my channel Truth Crime Story. Today's story comes from Canada's Toronto Pearson International Airport, a place where, between 1985 and 2000, a single thief kept stealing for 15 straight years, and the police couldn't catch him. For 15 years, investigators reviewed CCTV footage, checked every possible angle, and even planted undercover agents inside the airport. But still, they found nothing. What's even more shocking is that during these 15 years, the total value of stolen goods reached $4 million, which, in today's value, is nearly 33 crore rupees. So who was this thief? How did he pull off these thefts right under the noses of police and airport security? And how was he finally caught? The answers will leave you stunned. The story begins at Toronto Pearson Airport, Canada's largest and busiest international airport. Because of its massive air traffic, Pearson also had one of the largest cargo terminals in the country. Thousands of shipments arrived and departed every single day. Operations ran 24 hours a day, non-stop. Inside this cargo terminal, almost everything in the world passed through: food, clothing, electronics, luxury items, and extremely valuable goods. Due to this, airport authorities had deployed around 100 police officers and 20 police dogs for security. The security was so tight that even attempting a small theft usually meant immediate arrest. In fact, several workers had already been fired or jailed for minor thefts. Yet, despite all this, one man continued stealing from this cargo terminal for nearly 15 years, and turned himself from a $100 a month worker into a millionaire. Although the thefts began in 1985, the airport administration only started noticing something was wrong in 1992. That meant the thefts had been happening for 7 years without anyone realizing it. An internal investigation revealed that hard disks, computers, cameras, and other valuable items had disappeared, worth nearly $3 million. The airport administration was stunned. Police were immediately called in, and a full investigation began. But one question kept haunting the investigators: how was this thief escaping such tight security, without raising suspicion, without leaving evidence, and without being seen on cameras? CCTV cameras covered every corner. Guards checked ID cards at every entry and exit point. No one could even enter the cargo terminal without proper clearance. Security was doubled. Workers' ID cards were checked again and again. Their pockets, lunch boxes, and bags were searched. New CCTV cameras were installed and monitored 24/7. Yet the thefts continued, and the police still had nothing. One major reason was the size of the cargo terminal. Thousands of shipments moved daily, and in the 1990s, there was no proper digital inventory system. Shipments were stored by category, but no detailed records were maintained. That was why the thefts went unnoticed for years. When police finally began interrogating the workers, they hit another wall. Most workers had been working together for years. They were like a family, almost a gang. Every answer sounded rehearsed. Everyone said the same thing. Police began suspecting a large organized crime ring, possibly involving supervisors, managers, security staff, and truck drivers, people who knew every route, every camera angle, every security loophole. But when the truth finally surfaced, even the police were shocked. There was no gang, no senior officer, no mastermind inside management. The thief was just one man, a truck driver, and he did it all alone. His name was Ho Lam Mang, a Vietnamese immigrant, and this is where his unbelievable story truly begins. Ho Lam Mang was originally from Vietnam. In 1980, he arrived in Canada with just $50 in his pocket and one clear goal in his mind. He wanted to become rich, no matter what it took. Ho Lam Mang understood one important thing very early: if you want power and money, you first need connections. He was polite, friendly, always smiling, and treated everyone with respect. People trusted him easily, and that was his biggest strength. Not long after settling in Toronto, Ho Lam Mang met a Vietnamese woman named Therese. She had already built a life in Canada and lived with her son, Benny. A few meetings turned into love, and soon, Ho Lam Mang and Therese got married. After marriage, Ho Lam Mang moved into her house and became part of the family. Therese worked at a shipping company, and through her help, Ho Lam Mang landed a job as a truck driver. His job was simple: pick up cargo shipments from Toronto Pearson Airport and deliver them to their owners across the city. His monthly salary? Just $100. But while the pay was low, the access was priceless. Every day, Ho Lam Mang transported high-value cargo, electronics, branded clothes, expensive equipment, worth thousands, sometimes millions of dollars. And that's when an idea started forming in his mind. He knew he couldn't steal directly from deliveries. That would get him caught instantly. So he decided on a smarter plan: steal from inside the cargo terminal itself. But there was a problem. He didn't work inside the airport. He had no airport ID, and no one was allowed inside the cargo terminal without proper clearance. So Ho Lam Mang waited outside in his truck, while warehouse workers loaded shipments into it. Instead of forcing his way in, he did something far more dangerous. He made friends. He slowly built relationships with the warehouse workers who handled cargo loading. He gave small gifts, invited them to his home for meals, and treated them like family. Over time, trust grew. At the same time, Ho Lam Mang carefully observed them. Who was underpaid? Who had debts? Who was struggling with loans or medical bills? He knew those people would be the easiest to convince. One morning, while a worker was loading cargo into his truck, Ho Lam Mang made his move. He asked the worker to secretly load an extra shipment into the truck. In exchange for $2,000, the worker was shocked. That amount was more than his monthly salary, and because the cargo terminal was massive, the worker believed one missing shipment would go unnoticed. So he agreed. That moment marked Ho Lam Mang's first successful theft. When Ho Lam Mang reached home and opened the shipment, he couldn't believe his eyes. It was filled with electronic equipment worth nearly $100,000. He had paid just $2,000 to steal cargo worth a fortune. Selling it was the next challenge. He started offering the stolen goods to computer and electronics shops at prices far lower than the market rate. Buyers didn't ask many questions, and just like that, Ho Lam Mang tasted success. Soon, he repeated the process. Another bribe, another shipment. This time, it was clothing. Not as valuable as electronics, but still highly profitable. Slowly, theft turned into routine. Ho Lam Mang began bribing multiple workers, and shipments started disappearing regularly. While police suspected a massive criminal organization, the truth was simpler. It was just one truck driver, quietly expanding his network. And this was only the beginning, because Ho Lam Mang was about to make a move that would take his operation to an entirely new level. As Ho Lam Mang's thefts increased, a new problem began to surface. Every cargo shipment he stole was sealed from the outside. He never knew what was inside until it was already at his house. Sometimes it was electronics, sometimes clothes, sometimes shoes. Each time, he had to find new buyers, negotiate prices, and struggle to sell unfamiliar goods. This unpredictability was slowing him down. Ho Lam Mang wanted control, and that's when he made a bold decision. He decided to bring his wife, Therese, into the operation. Therese worked in the documentation department of the same shipping company. Her job involved handling cargo paperwork, shipment schedules, contents, storage locations, and declared values. She had access to information that Ho Lam Mang never did. At first, telling her the truth was risky, but when Ho Lam Mang explained how much money they were making and how much more they could make, Therese agreed to help. This single decision transformed the entire operation. Now, Ho Lam Mang knew everything in advance: which shipment was arriving, which flight it was on, where it would be stored, what was inside, and exactly how valuable it was. Instead of stealing random cargo, he began targeting only high-value shipments. Even more dangerously, he started selling the cargo before stealing it. Buyers were lined up in advance. Once the shipment arrived, Ho Lam Mang simply bribed the right workers, loaded it into his truck, and delivered it straight to customers. No storage, no delay, no risk. Greed slowly took over. Where he once stole 1 or 2 shipments a day, he now began stealing 3 to 4 shipments daily. But success created a new problem. Large shipments meant huge volumes of goods. Selling everything alone became impossible. There were delays, unsold items, crowded rooms filled with stolen cargo. Ho Lam Mang realized he needed help. That's when he brought in Benny, Therese's son. Benny took charge of distribution and sales. He was smart, confident, and convincing. To look legitimate, Benny printed fake invoices, fake business documents, and even visiting cards under a false name. Joe Young. Whenever he approached shop owners, he claimed he worked for a shipping company and was offering excess inventory at discounted rates. Shop owners believed him. The prices were low, the paperwork looked real, and the goods were brand new. Entire shipments were sold in one deal. But as the operation grew, stolen cargo began piling up faster than it could be sold. They needed a safe place, somewhere hidden, secure, and under their control. So Ho Lam Mang bought 2 houses side by side. One was for living, the other became a secret warehouse. Day and night, neighbors saw goods being loaded and unloaded. Suspicion started to rise. Sensing danger, Ho Lam Mang did what he did best. He visited every neighbor personally. He introduced himself warmly, brought gifts, and explained that he worked in shipping and occasionally used his house as temporary storage. His friendly behavior worked. Suspicion faded, but even 2 houses weren't enough anymore. The stolen goods kept coming. Then Then came the 1990s, and with it, the rise of the internet. Online marketplaces had begun to appear. One website changed everything: eBay. Ho Lam Mang and Benny started selling stolen goods online, cheaply, quickly, and anonymously. Orders began arriving not just from Canada, but from around the world. Their monthly sales crossed $5,000, then more. Every stolen shipment now had a buyer. For nearly 15 years, the operation continued flawlessly. Airport workers stayed loyal, because Ho Lam Mang paid their debts, covered medical bills, and helped them financially whenever needed. The perfect crime seemed unstoppable, until one ordinary phone call, on November 21st, 2001, changed everything. And that's where this story takes its final, dramatic turn. On the morning of November 21st, 2001, a phone rang inside a Toronto police station. The caller was the owner of a computer store. He reported a burglary. Several hard drives had been stolen overnight. At first, it looked like a routine theft, but this burglary had nothing to do with Ho Lam Mang, and yet it would expose his entire operation. Police arrived at the store and began their investigation. They checked the stolen hard drives and recorded their serial numbers. When those serial numbers were run through old records, investigators froze. The numbers matched hard drives that had disappeared from Toronto Pearson Airport years earlier. This was the break police had been waiting for. Officers questioned the store owner about where he had purchased those hard drives. His answer changed everything. He said he bought them from a man named Joe Young, someone who claimed to represent a shipping company. The store owner even provided a contact number. Police traced the number. It was registered under the name Benny, the same Benny who lived with Ho Lam Mang and Therese. From that moment on, Benny was placed under full surveillance. Police monitored his calls, movements, and contacts. Soon, they saw him transporting goods from a storage warehouse. When officers moved in, what they found inside left them stunned. The warehouse was filled wall to wall with brand new electronics, computers, hard drives, clothing, and luxury items. It was obvious. This was the missing cargo from Pearson Airport, stolen over 15 years. Benny was arrested on the spot. Under intense interrogation, the truth came out. He confessed. He explained how the cargo was stolen, sold, and distributed, and named the mastermind behind it all, Ho Lam Mang. But police didn't arrest Ho Lam Mang immediately. They wanted him red-handed, so instead, they followed him. Officers watched as Ho Lam Mang drove his truck from the shipping company to Pearson Airport. They observed cargo being loaded. They tracked him delivering legitimate shipments, and secretly diverting stolen ones. Finally, police made their move. They raided Ho Lam Mang's house and the neighboring storage home. What they found was unbelievable. Both houses were filled with stolen cargo, hidden inside beds, sofas, staircases, and even Benny's room was cash. When counted, the total came to $1.2 million in cash alone. Ho Lam Mang, Therese, and Benny were arrested and charged with theft and possession of stolen property. The scale of the crime shocked even veteran investigators. But the story wasn't over yet, because what Ho Lam Mang did next would reduce his sentence and surprise everyone. After the arrest, Ho Lam Mang realized one thing very clearly. The game was over. The evidence against him was overwhelming. 15 years of stolen cargo, warehouses full of goods, and over $1.2 million in cash recovered from his own home. Before the trial even began, Ho Lam Mang made a surprising move. He told the police that he was ready to confess. But there was a condition. Ho Lam Mang agreed to fully cooperate with investigators, return the stolen money, and help recover the remaining stolen goods. Only if his wife, Therese, and his stepson, Benny, were released. Police agreed. What followed was one of the most complete confessions in Canadian criminal history. Ho Lam Mang admitted to stealing cargo from Toronto Pearson Airport for nearly 15 years. He explained every detail: how he bribed workers, how shipments were selected, how documents were manipulated, and how stolen goods were sold locally and online. He led police to additional storage locations. He helped recover millions of dollars worth of stolen property. In total, Ho Lam Mang returned nearly $3 million earned through theft. Because of his cooperation, police dropped charges against Therese and Benny. And something even more unexpected happened. Ho Lam Mang's original sentence was set at 12 years in prison, but due to his full confession and assistance, the court reduced his punishment to just 2 years. A man who had fooled airport security, police, and federal investigators for 15 years was finally stopped, not by a high-tech system, not by undercover agents, but by one small mistake: a serial number. This was the story of a simple truck driver who became a millionaire, ran one of the longest airport theft operations in history, and stayed invisible for nearly a decade and a half. A reminder that no matter how perfect a crime may seem, the truth always finds a way out. If you enjoyed this story, let us know in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel,